It's more like a quote that I heard a few years back that I wish I had heard when I was starting out. So it's sort of like I heard it after the fact, but I was like, oh my God, this would be so helpful. And it's a thing that I share with anyone who's like, I'm thinking of starting to compose or whatever. So it's by Ira Glass, who, for people that don't know, would have been like the host of This American Life and a bunch of other public radio things. And he has a quote about the gap. Have you heard of this quote?
No, I don't think so.
I'll paraphrase it because it's maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. But if you Google like Ira Glass, the gap, people have made beautiful little videos to go with it. But basically, what he says is all of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But then there's this gap when we're starting out. So you have the good taste, but your early work isn't like meeting your expectations and you feel disappointed by that. And that's when a lot of people quit and they're like, I'm not meant to have a creative life. But this is part of the process. So his advice is the best thing that you can do is make a lot of work and focus on the quantity as opposed to focusing on the quality. And by making a lot of art, you will close that gap and then your work will start to be as good as your ambitions. And that to me was like, I wish I heard that 10 years earlier.
Yeah, I
Because,
love
yeah,
that.
yeah. So that to me is like, yes, that's what I struggled through for like 10 years. Because like when I started, I remember feeling so frustrated. And also like you have these stories of like Mozart heard the melodies in his on the wind and blah blah. You're just like, uh, that's not how it works for me. I'm obviously like a terrible artist. But no, it's like you keep making, you learn stuff with each piece and you get better. And that's the way it goes. So it kind of ties in with the Hokusai idea, but like I really think don't be afraid of the gap. Make bad art, make lots of it.
And I think, well, first of all, I'll say that as a composer, that feeling never really goes away. It's you always fall short of what you're really trying to get across in your head. Actually, I had a teacher once who told me that you have to make things on the page, like on the sheet music, like the most extreme version that you can, because going from like your brain to like tapping it out on a piano or an instrument to figure out the notes and the rhythms to putting it on the page, and then like a performer performing it off the page, he's
Mm.
like, there's so many degrees of fidelity loss, if you want to
Yeah,
compare
yeah.
it to that, right? That you just, if you put it like the most extreme version like you can dream of on the page, then
Mm.
someone, that's not like an argument in favor of like super complicated music, but it's just, but even then, I every piece I write, it's like you go back and listen and it's like, oh, that could have been better. And for me, it's
Yeah,
like that's the lesson to take on to the next one. Like you're constantly evolving, you're constantly
yeah,
changing. um
totally.
but yeah, I think the whole idea of the muse kissing you, and I think
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
bogus. But I think a lot of people, a lot of musicians maybe even, they don't realize that as composers we have to practice too,
yes,
like
yes.
musicians practice an instrument. And I think what you're talking about is actually practicing. I mean, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of stuff that gets trimmed and left on the floor, the cutting
Hmm.
room floor. And to me, that's practicing the piece to get it where it
Yeah,
needs to be.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what would you describe as the primary pillars of your creative practice?
Okay, let's see. How many would I have? I have a few. So the first would be like filling up the well. So I feel like I have to like expose myself to like find things that spark something inside of me. Often it's like trying to find a feeling I've never had before. So like learning something new. So I might not so much listen to music, but I want to like have weird facts or learn about the etymology of a word or like weird stories or like visual art. So it's like something that gives me something to ponder. And like I'm doing a lot of travel at the moment. My favorite thing is just like walk down streets I've never walked down before and like what can I discover? And then I feel like I've absorbed stuff that will kind of percolate and eventually will come out in a new way. But like that needs to be like the well needs to be filled up. If I was to just like sit in my room for a month, I'm not going to have any good ideas.
Yeah.
You know? So there's that. So there's like filling up, and then there's emptying out, which for me is like I need to be in like an open and receptive state to do creative work. So if I'm really pissed off about an argument that I had with somebody, I need to like clear out the energy. So meditation is really important. I'll try and do that every day. If I'm feeling really, I don't know, anxious or whatever, like cardio, like lifting weights, whatever you need to do kind of with your body to ground it. And I feel like when you do that, you have like a clear channel to like make cool things. The ideas might not come, but like you're putting yourself in the best position to do that. Something that's really important for me is like discover something new. And like it's so important for me to feel curious, and like I'm pushing myself with everything that I create. So I kind of need to feel a little bit out of my depth, a little bit past my comfort zone, and that to me feels like I'm in the right place. So it feels horrible, to be honest. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to write this piece, and then you do write the piece and there's like a sense of achievement. So I'll try and ask myself questions like, what would happen if ... And that
Mm.
usually allows me to get something new. And again, like you said, with the cutting room floor, like some of the ideas are terrible, but like I've learned something from that. I think we talked about this already, the like be authentic. And I think, just write for you. And then the last thing would be just show up, because there will be good days and there will be bad days, but you got to keep showing up, or it ain't going to happen for you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Micromaker by Loose Leaf Transmissions. We hope you enjoyed this brief glimpse into the inner workings of the creative life. If this resonated with you, be sure to check out the full conversation on Music Maker with Tyler Kline, a podcast exploring craft and process, philosophy and inspiration, and the honest, often messy parts of being an artist, creative uncertainty, purpose and identity, and resilience. You can find Music Maker wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting musicmakerpodcast.com.